I'm gonna be honest with you guys, one of my favorite things about getting new episodes of the amazing digital circus is actually the behind the scenes animations and deleted scenes that also get shared by the animators, storyboard artist, and also Gooseworx herself, because it kind of feels special to get to see behind the curtains of such a popular show and how it's getting made and what scenes end up in the final version. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but in this video I'm going to show you guys all the interesting stuff that has been either deleted or reconsidered for episode 5, and we're also gonna see how the animators created each scene. So let me just start off with Gooseworx's post on Twitter, where she shared the actual sound she made for Bubble for this scene. And it sounds like this. Now let me just say that this is the sound I also make when I'm making the voiceovers for these videos and I can't get something right, but seeing how Gooseworx distorted the fuck out of it, as she said, we can see a whole different outcome. And actually Bubble must be a lot of fun to voice, because they are either just cursing or making weird sounds or some weirdly sexual comments, so yeah, I can imagine Gooseworx having fun with this character. But Gooseworx also had another post about the concept art for episode 5, and here we can see the circus members in the different outfits for each adventure. Like when they were in the bar, obviously they were sitting, so it was hard to see their whole outfits, but now seeing Kinger's pants or skirt is extremely weird. But here is President Pomni in her little suit and Jax in the explorer outfit, and then the evil versions of the characters, and obviously we could see that instead of Gangle, Gooseworx included Orbsman, but she gave an explanation for it, why we didn't see an evil version of Gangle, and it's because Gooseworx thought that it would be funny if she was forgotten. But she also answered a question where someone asked if evil Gangle would have been blue, and Gooseworx said that she would have had a white ribbon and a red mask, so it kinda seems like maybe she initially wanted Gangle to have an evil version as well, but maybe later on she decided that she should scratch that for fun. The next interesting thing she shared was actually about the animal versions and full baseball uniforms, where we could see that it was only Zubul and Gangle who were turned into animals, and that the characters only had baseball caps but not full outfits, and this is because they had a limited budget, which is kind of weird considering how big the show is and how much profit they could be making on each episode. Now of course they also have lots of expenses, and to be fair, I have no idea how much everybody could be paid on the team, so the budget thing is probably valid, although it would have been fun to see every other character as animals too. But the last thing I wanted to share from Gooseworx is actually the most interesting one, and it's Ribbit's concept art. And yeah, we got to see that Ribbit was the one in the episode who was X'd out on the door that Jack stopped in front of, so I'm pretty sure that we are going to see more of him in the upcoming episodes, maybe in the form of a flashback, especially now that one of the main questions is what exactly happened to Ribbit, Jax's friend, and how he ended up abstracted. But yeah, based on the concept art that Gooseworx shared, we'll probably see more of him than just a tiny picture on the door. Now let's see what the storyboard artist Haha on YouTube shared. Of course full credit goes to him and every other artist I'm gonna mention in this video. And he actually shared a pretty interesting thing about the anime style adventure, and it's that a lot of the backgrounds actually changed, and the classroom was actually intended to be different, but they changed it later down the road when the producers took over for it to make more sense and to match the nostalgic feeling of early 2000s anime. And another interesting thing about the anime adventure is that Glitch actually reached out to animation studios in Japan, and they had to adapt the characters to anime style. Bellamy, who was essentially the lead of this project on the Japanese side, said that Jax was the hardest to turn into an anime character, and she was inspired by Studio Ghibli cats, so that's what Jax ended up looking similar to. Bellamy also shared that the turnaround time was said to be 1 to 2 months of pre-production, 2 to 3 months of production, and a month for post-production. And in the video where David Fonte from Glitch talked to Bellamy, they talk about how this is pretty fast, but still a lot of work for a 1-minute long joke. And I mean, yeah, it's kinda insane when you think about it, but then again, this is what makes the amazing digital circus so special, that they really pay attention to details, even for these shorter scenes. And now let's see what the animators shared, because there are also pretty interesting things here too about how the animation process went. For example, in this video, which was shared by the animator Static on YouTube, we can see that the White House adventure involved a lot of camera cheating to make Pomni's face look appealing from multiple angles, because in this scene Pomni was stressed AF, and they even animated sweat drops on her face, which is insane. Static also shared that they keep animating Zubul falling by letting their limbs fall apart, which is also a pretty interesting fun fact. And Static also shared that it was a good practice for him to master body language with animating Kinger here, because of course he has no mouth, so they had to rely on his body and hands to get the feeling across well. And I never even thought about it this way, but this is amazing, and especially seeing the final product where everything just feels so natural. Another fun fact Static shared is that every animator on the team had the opportunity to animate Jax in the maid outfit, which I'm sure was a lot of fun for them. Janus on YouTube also shared the behind the scenes of his work on the episode, and fun fact, he also worked on the Gaslight District previously, but now he had the chance to animate the characters of the amazing digital Circus, and he actually acted out many of the scenes to get a better idea of the characters' movements, which is always exciting to see. For example here, when Kane goes off on Zubul, this is the reference Genus recorded for it. Now the fun in this is that as animators you have the chance to exaggerate the characters as much as possible, so we can see that despite the reference shoot being more laid back, Kane in this scene was actually a little bit terrifying.
Well, I'll tear you to pieces! Constructive criticism would be greatly appreciated.
And here he shared different versions of the stargazing scene where Ragata goes over to Kinger, and we can see that originally he didn't make Ragata lean down, so it's also a fun little detail that was changed later on. And for this scene they also changed how Zubul shakes that shaker, because at first it just didn't feel as natural, but to be fair it must have been a pretty difficult job animating Zubul. He also shared how Jax looked outside of the camera view in this scene, and I don't even have the word for this. Curse Jax is back, and he has a friend, Curse Ragata here. Also, we cannot see in the original episode how her face morphs when she turns away, but just so you know, this was her during that scene. And lastly, Acrylic Animation on YouTube shared that animating just as small of a detail as seaweeds over the circus members were a pretty slow procedure. So again, hats off for every single person working on the show, because their work is actually insane, and these little details are what make the show extremely special. Acrylic Animation also shared that the bar scene was really special for them to work on, because here all the focus was on the characters and their subtle expressions and small movements, and the fact that they managed to make everything feel this natural is amazing. But yeah, these are all the behind the scenes and deleted things from episode 5. Hope you found this video entertaining, and again, the whole team is doing an amazing job with each and every episode, and somehow they still managed to take my breath away with the complexity of the emotions they portray on the characters, and the animation quality itself is also something that just keeps getting better with each episode, which is insane already, but I'm sure that it's gonna be even more beautiful for episode 5, which by the way was also confirmed by Gooseworx that it's gonna come out in 4 months maximum, which could mean 2 months or 3 months as well. So if you're lucky, we might be watching episode 6 at the end of the summer or maybe early fall, which I'm not gonna lie makes me really excited. But let me know what you think about the animation process and behind the scenes information down in the comments. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.